But let's get the recording in progress. All right. So, um, let me introduce Caleb because I don't know if you guys have gotten to meet Caleb. It's funny because what I've found is a lot of the things we talk about in the club, um, they don't always resonate with folks that are, I'll just say it very directly, typically in their 20s. Folks in their 20s, they want different things. They are motivated by more, 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 and scale, 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 and things like this. And, um, it takes a lot of times. Most of the people I look around this room, it's like we've been kicked in the teeth a few times in business. And so we learn how to adjust and make changes in our business to get us closer to the life that we want, oftentimes by default. But Caleb is somebody who I've just been extremely impressed by. Gotten to know him now for a few years, and he has a different approach to business as someone of his age. He's wise beyond his years. I've seen him and gotten to know Mike as well, who's working with Caleb, and they have done some pretty incredible things in a short amount of time. And he's taken a lot of these concepts that we talk about, all the time in the club, and made some shifts in his business. And one of those shifts was towards a home services type business. And he's going to talk about, I think, how he's doing that, how he sees this long term as an asset for his portfolio, how he's growing that. I don't know what he's going to share, but I know I'm eager to hear what he has to say about it. So, Caleb, take it away. Tell us a little bit about yourself, because I know not everybody may know you as well as I do. So, introduce yourself, anything I left out, and take it away, sir.
Cool. Appreciate the intro there, Paul. Yeah, I'm excited to get into the details of you guys. I put together a presentation. I have a slide on there of some of this intro stuff. So why don't we just get right into it?
Caleb, tell where you're out of Pennsylvania, right? Philadelphia area.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm in Philadelphia. I graduated from college back in 2023. That was the same year I actually met Paul and joined the club back when it was the Whale Club. One of the best decisions I definitely made then. So I had graduated, worked 6 months in engineering while still doing like wholesale deals and building up like a small portfolio of single family rentals. And yeah, that those 6 months like working corporate, I was like, man, I don't like this. And I knew that the wholesaling like wasn't just something I saw as reliable. So I kind of went full steam towards a home service business because I just like the quality of the income and kind of the stability that I saw in it. Although like, nothing is perfectly stable in business. It's business, but there's different kinds of ways you can set yourself up. So yeah, um, own the tree service business, done like 2 dozen wholesale deals. I have a 5 single family rentals. I'm in the process of building 4 houses right now, partners in Jersey. Um, One's like a minor subdivision. The other one is just a by right 1 lot house. And I built what I like to call like a low overhead, people leveraged tree service business. And I make more in that than I did my engineering job while working like about 5 hours a week in the business rather than like on the business. Um, so yeah, any questions on that?
Impressive. I told you all.
What kind of engineer were you?
Mechanical engineering.
Okay.
Yeah, Lockheed Martin.
I mean, you're going to talk more about your tree business and kind of all that, right? I mean, that's
Absolutely. Yep.
okay, cool, because that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna get right into it. So why home services? Why tree work? Well, one, at Lockheed Martin, I was kind of locked up in like a closed area because we were working on classified stuff. So there was no windows, and the idea of running away from that and getting outside to go look at trees and drive around the outside world just sounded very appealing. And then the other part of it was just binary outcomes of tree work. Like, someone has a tree and they're like, I don't want that there anymore. So it's kind of simple. Like it's not like you're putting in not like you're cleaning someone's house and you're like, oh, like you missed a spot there, or you're painting and you're like, oh, well, I don't really like that or something like that. So it's just more simple from a customer approach. And I've seen it in the jobs we've done. We've done like over 300 jobs since I opened it back in March of last year. And like, I mean, we'll have customers reach back out to us, but it's really not that often at all. I also saw this as like a higher ticket home service. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, 1650 per job isn't like a ton, but it is when you compare it to house cleaning or stuff like that. And our margins on that are typically around like 20% on the gross. Well, it is 20% on the gross. So that's like $330 in profit per job. Um, so that's one aspect of it. Another aspect is I offer customers financing, and there's tons of unsophisticated competitors that do not touch that at all. So it really gives us like a leg up on that front. And then I think it's somewhat recession resistant. I have pretty good metrics on like what our stuff looks like. When the Trump tariffs came out, we definitely took like a dip, but people always need tree work. There's always going to be emergencies and stuff like that. So I don't think it would ever come to like a full standstill. I liked it from that regard. And then I just saw a huge like lever to pull of local SEO. And I'll get more into that in other slides. And you could do this business model with tons of other businesses. John Kleisch, he's also in the club. And he was running a pool business where he was going around cleaning stuff. And I told him about this, and he kind of changed the way he was doing his pool business and started just like locking up basically like almost like wholesaling. It's like you lock up the deal with the customer and then just get someone else to do the work. And I'll get more into that, but he does it with pools. And yeah, I think you can do this with a lot of different home services, maybe
Hey,
even house.
Caleb, if you don't mind just going back, your binary outcome, you're talking about like the tree's there and the tree's gone. It's not like how well did you do the job. So are you trimming or are you
Yeah, so
just
we're
removing?
yeah, so we I probably should have explained that a little bit better before. But we're doing trimming, removals, and stuff.
Okay. Just trimming and removals. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions for our movement?
I got a question for you on your finance piece. How does that work? How do you secure yourself when financing a customer on a tree?
Yeah, so we use Stripe, and through Stripe, they have different financing options like Klarna, Afterpay. Um, I think there's another one. So it's pretty cool. Like they'll charge us an extra 6%. We just bill it right back to the customer since they're doing the financing, and we'll get paid the same amount we usually would get paid. Um, I've done it before where I've like self-financed, like if they didn't get approved, but I don't really love doing that. And we've actually done interesting things before too, where if someone can't afford it, we'll see if we could buy an option on their house or something in exchange for it. So
Interesting.
get real competitive or really like creative.
So somebody wants to finance a $1,650 tree removal.
Mm-hmm.
I would make an assumption that if someone needs to finance a $1,600 tree removal, that they may not like what's the demographic of this type of person that you're typically working with?
Yeah, so it's a little all over the place. In the city of Philadelphia, there's a lot of really low income people. So that's like more so where we'll see the financing get used. And usually that's like, you know, later age to older age individuals, like usually more like women, that end up going for the financing.
I think it's interesting because like we've fiddled kind of like toyed with this idea for our construction company, and ours are significantly higher in value, like kind of 30 grand on the low end up to 150. And we get asked about financing a lot, and I just say put it on a credit card or figure it out. And I don't know if that's deterring us from getting more business, but this is giving me some thoughts. So I appreciate the perspective on this.
Yeah, yeah. There's actually a company I know of too that they help people of like bigger companies that like do bigger ticket items. Get it? So definitely plug into
Cool.
that.
What's the length of time that you have to that they're financing for?
So after paying Klarna, kind of dictate that, but it can be up to like 3 years. And
Yeah.
like when some of this stuff, it's really cool. They have stuff set up where it'll finance of 0% interest as long as it's sprinkled over like 6 months. So there's some really competitive stuff out there.
But you
It's
don't
just,
Yeah.
really care because you get
Buy
paid
your own
like
lunch. Actually,
right
you should buy
away.
me lunch.
yeah, I could care less.
Hey, Paul, to your point, I was getting ready to ask the same question because
Okay.
we've got a
I was
similar.
thinking to go to the end of the counter.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to ask a similar question, and based on your price point, I was going to say the same for yourself. But I know, like back in my HVAC days, it was always talked about like if you weren't an HVAC tech offering financing, it was something silly, like you were missing out on at least 30+% of business. Now it's probably even stronger than that, but I know there's third party financing options for like all kinds of industries. So, but Caleb, I was going to ask you. I mean, are you able to get better margins if you're going in with financing options, or are you kind of just offering it the same?
We offered the same. We probably could get more competitive. There's a lot of I'll get into how the business is structured a little bit more. But now we don't like charge more if we're going to do financing. We probably could though. Any other questions? Cool. Okay. So using the principles of the Whale Club, I kind of structured this. So, I want something with low downside, high leverage. I would say this is an extremely low downside business. Our fixed monthly cost is really just liability insurance plus my virtual assistant. But obviously it's not like something you have to pay, although I would love to retain her. So our crews are all subcontractors, all by 1099. So we don't have any, W-2 payroll that we got to worry about. I don't have any equipment. I don't even own a chainsaw. I've never operated a chainsaw. So that's nice, like not to have to worry about. So really there's no financial drag at all. Like if revenue just disappeared tomorrow, like this business could just sit forever. And that's cool. Like learning the stuff that Paul's teaching me and like reading some of the books. It's kind of cool to be able to say that. And there's trade-offs with that for sure. Which I'll get into. But yeah, that's kind of the way it's structured. Any questions on that?
Could you elaborate a little bit more on that, Caleb? Like, what do you mean exactly by like 1099 employees or contract employees? Are you just finding crews that don't have any work and telling them that's what you'll pay them for this, or?
Yeah, so I'm going to get into that on here.
But at a high level, if I could just say that you're the sales and marketing side and you third party out all the operations.
Yeah. This slide will explain it pretty well.
Yep.
So this is kind of the operations flywheel. So this kind of chart on the right demonstrates it pretty well. So a lead will come in through various lead sources. The VA will answer the phone, get all the information, and book an estimate with one of our 1099 crews. That 1099 crew will then go out and perform the estimate wearing like all of our gear, rapid tree care gear. And let's say they go there and they think the job's 1,000. Well, for jobs that are it depends on the crew. So our gross margins of any crew is like between 20 and 30%. So depending upon the crew, they're either going to mark up that 20 or 30% based off of the amount they think it costs to get done in their head. And like these guys are really hungry for work. So I think sometimes like they'll even just let my margin eat into their profits and they're kind of cool with it because obviously they're not taking on any risk of having to get the lead and like we consistently feed them. So the crew goes out, does the work, spits out the number. They'll either close on the spot or follow up with the same assistant that booked the estimate to send out a quote. And then like if that doesn't convert, we'll keep following up with it through go high level. Once it does convert, we'll schedule the job. The same crew that gave the estimate will go out and perform the work. and then we always collect the money and then pay out the crew. And like some of the biggest questions I get about this is like, well, how do you know they aren't stealing your work and stuff like that? And the way that I've gotten around this is like I really monitor what their close rates are. In the month of March, we had a 50% close rate across all of our leads. And if someone starts going down, like I'll kind of see what's going on. And I do tests too. Like I'll text them from different phone numbers, be like, hey, you just did an estimate in my house. I think you're a subcontractor. Would you go lower on the price if I went directly to you? So I test them out, but like all these guys are Hispanic. We have great relationships. They're very loyal to me. I give them lots of work. So I haven't had issues with them stealing any work. So yeah, that's kind of like the structure of the operations. And now like really my role is just kind of making sure that the right money's coming in and the right money's going out to our crews, and then working on ensuring like leads are coming in. If I want to make any like upgrades to mailers we're sending or anything like that, and just kind of watching the KPIs and going around to the different crews and having conversation with them, making sure they're happy, and talking to the assistant, making sure she's happy and everything's going good. And yeah, so that's kind of how I got this to like working with like not that much time on my end. Because a lot of the stuff just doesn't need my help at all. Yeah, I spend more time working on the business than in the business, I'd say. Any questions on the operational component here?
Where are
Love the
you?
mo-
Where are you
Go ahead.
finding? Where are you finding these guys at the subs?
Yeah, so when I first started, Facebook Marketplace was huge. Because the guys on there really like they don't have Google My Business profiles. They don't really know how to market if they're on Facebook. I mean, not all of them. There's people that know how to market on Facebook, but that, and then as like we've done more work, whenever we lose out on a job to like another estimate, I always find out why. Well, my assistant finds out why, and if it's like someone beat us out on price, I'll always like try to get that customer to give us that crew's contact information, and then we'll reach out to them. So out of like the 6 crews that work for me right now, like 2 or 3 of them, we got through like that reverse approach of, we got beat out on estimate, and then we reach out to them. We're like, well, sounds like you want more work because you're like pricing very low.
So these guys, like the interesting thing to me is they're wearing your uniform. It's like they're doing their own stuff. They're their own company, but then they just like keeping some of your uniforms in their truck and they're putting them on before they go to the house. And like, how do you possibly manage that? Like that seems
Yeah,
difficult.
yeah, and that's the thing. You can't fully manage it. I monitor the close rates like very closely, but it helps everyone if they follow the process and wear the uniform, because like obviously customers will ask like questions. Surprisingly less than you would imagine though. But yeah.
Caleb, I have a question for you. I may have missed this, but how are you making sure that margin is baked in when they are estimating it?
So you're cutting out a little bit.
Yeah. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
How are you making sure if these guys are out there closing the contract for you, how are you making sure that they're estimating high enough for you to get that the margin you're expecting?
Yeah, yeah. So for them, if they look at a job and they know they need to build in a 20% margin, and they say, all right, the bare minimum I could do this for is 1,000, then I'm going to tell the customer 1,200.
Okay, you're the one telling customers.
No, the crew is.
Okay,
So the crew is already aware of what we make,
okay,
and then
got it.
they'll just overbid like whatever they need to overbid to ensure that the numbers work for them.
Got it. Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure if you were sharing that with them or not.
Yeah, and I'll get into that a little bit too. In the beginning, I kind of took the approach of not sharing with them, and it's just there's trade-offs to everything. And like I could make a ton more money if I did it the other way, but it's just not worth the like it just makes it
Yeah,
operationally so much more like annoying.
Yeah, you could probably make more, but you could probably also make less at the same time. So
Yeah, it's all just like a currency trade-off between like time and money. Any other questions on the operational? All right. So this goes into a little bit more detail of like how I like Google and stuff like that. So top right is our Google My Business profile. We have like as of right now 131 reviews on Google. We just hit 4.9. We were at 5 stars for like ever. We had this one guy leave us a 1 star review who like he's literally a customer of ours who like likes us, but apparently he has like strokes and stuff. I don't know. We're trying to get it removed. And then we have one legitimate 1 star review, but lady's kind of a Karen. But we did mess up a little bit. But I mean, I'll take it for that many reviews to be at that rating, especially for the kind of business, the way it's structured. Um, so that like gets us a lot of leads. You could see a graph there. That's straight off the Google My Business profile. We had 452 interactions since December. And then you can see that like in the bottom, this is kind of how I track like our different lead channels. You can see we got 35 leads from people just finding us on Google. So it's pretty huge, and I see it as an asset. If I wanted to make this business easier, I would probably just get rid of like every paid marketing channel and just like let the organic roll. But I'm like in a point now where I just kind of want to get more reviews on Google and like crush my competitors. So that's why I'm like pumping more money into like advertising to get more work. So I'll kind of break it out here for different lead sources and all that. So I'll do texting to like real estate agents and real estate investors. We had 9 leads from that. And this is, I think, in the month of March. This is like definitely one of our better months. I'll show that a little bit too into the revenue. Um, but yeah, so 9 from like just reaching out to like real estate investors, real estate agents, 73 from Google local service ads. That's like huge, but you could see what our spend was on that too. Organic 35. I'd spend like $750 a month just for like a firm to give us backlinks. 9 referrals, 23 repeat customers, and 1 we don't really know. Yeah, so that's like our lead channels, and you can see how it breaks out between like how much in estimates we put up, how much we actually won, what the estimated profit was, what the net profit was from our ad spend, and then like estimated net profit, cost per lead, and all that. And I'll go into some of the cost per lead and return on ad spend figures too. Any questions on this? So this is a little bit just like by the number stuff. Like if those lead sources are able to bring in like 100 to 150 leads per month. When I first started, we definitely weren't at that. Like things just really kind of clicked this year of figuring out like what we need to do. And obviously a lot of that is just pumping up our LSA. So this is kind of like what the numbers look like total. So like February we're at 75, March at 99, April at 81. This month we're on track, very similar to like between 80 and 100. I do like a trailing 30. Our trailing 30, we're at like 98 right now. So net profit is about like 12%. Again, it's not like crazy. Like I'm not getting rich over here, but you know, for how much time I'm working and being able to spend that time in other places and like learning and doing more real estate stuff that I find more fun, it's worth it for me. So return on ad spend on the organic side, it's like over 400%. And then LSA, it's like 200%. And then just kind of breaking down our cost per lead by channel a little bit and our customer acquisition costs for LSA.
Something to be said for having 10 grand a month coming in with 5 hours a week worth of work. That's pretty reliable to me. You know, the reliable side of the barbell is not about home runs, it's about reliability. So this is excellent, man, especially considering how long you've been doing it. So well done. This is impressive.
Thank you. Any questions on this one?
You ready to start?
I mean, as a wholesaler, 50% close rate sounds really, really sexy to me. we hear know a lot.
So just like into some of the labor and delegation. So I've never held a chainsaw, and that's the point. Like I'm here to like run the business. It's just really important that you understand how to vet crews. And I think I had to spend that time in the field to understand how to do that. So you do need like a little bit of technical knowledge, but like you just need to make sure the guys are doing what they need to do and like that they actually care about giving the customer a satisfied experience as well. Um, so the crews really have a lot of ownership over the job, and that's worked out in my favor because I make sure the crew's good. And I think that ownership just brings like a higher work ethic and like better results on the ground. Um, yeah, and I mean, I don't know. There's something about not like to be racist anyway, but like the Hispanic guys and they're great. I mean, they are hard workers. A lot of them didn't come like they weren't born here. They came from breaking into the country or whatever else. They all make jokes about it. It's hilarious. But I mean, they're really hard workers, and they're loyal too. So, like I said, I tried to learn how to do estimates on myself, but kind of just created more friction. I was making a lot more, but you'd run into points where like you quote a job and they don't really agree with like what they're getting paid and this and that. So I figured, all right, just let them quote it. You can't fight with yourself, so um, made that easier. So, giving them that autonomy really increased the close rates, the satisfaction, and like, I mean, we're not like, I guess we have some sort of scale to us, but it's not like crazy. Um, it gives us more like flexibility too, because if we get jam packed of leads, like we have so many people that can go out and do estimates. Um, any questions on this?
Something to add too is like people love an opportunity to make more money, like I would consider some sort of an incentive program for your guys that are like that's the backbone of your business,
Oh yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
and
Sometimes what I'll do. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, it's just like that's first of all, that's construction. It's labor, it's the majority of it is labor and how to source that labor. And when you find good crews, we do this on our construction teams because the majority of our guys are Hispanic and we give them bonuses for hitting certain things. Like we pay them for a result, and that just continues to bring them into ownership over the result. So I'm not saying you need to do that. I'm just saying that's something that I do, and I have a lot of success with that too.
Yeah, that's a really great suggestion. I've done that before where I see like some of them are just like closing everything. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna drop our profit margin for you and like you can get that extra because you're just really like going above and beyond. But it would be
Yeah,
good to have some sort of like an actual system for that so they know
yeah.
what.
I mean, we're a team. That's what I tell everybody. Like we're a team, and I couldn't do this without you. And when we win, we want you to win, and that just goes so far with guys who are out there. Like physical manual labor is freaking tough work, man. It's hard on the body. It's hard on the mind. Like it's hard on relationships. It's hard. It's just hard all around. And so the more you can, show appreciation to those guys, the better result you're going to get from them. I can promise you that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that's why like some of the biggest things in this is like it's a task in the business to go around and call them and like check in on them and like shoot the shit.
Yep.
So
Yep, and maybe go run a chainsaw every now and then, because sometimes they like to see that the guy sitting up in the ivory tower can come down and get his hands dirty sometimes. So sometimes I find that also goes a long way where they see you pull up and like you get out there and you're like helping them haul, trash into the dumpster for an hour. Like just stuff like that, man, just goes so far with people that are just say labor that they're doing that type of stuff. Something to consider.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I needed to get better about that. I've been a little bit like not so much on the sites lately, but in the beginning it was definitely like that. And when I was building those
Doesn't
relationships,
take much. Doesn't take much. But it really goes a long way.
yeah, yeah.
Or
Honestly,
like
that's some of the principles of the military in there.
what's
Is
that?
that's like some of the principles of the military is like officers and stuff should really like get involved with like what the Joes are doing and yeah, it's just principles of leadership, I guess.
It certainly is. They got to see that you're kind of willing to do the same things. You know, I'm not going to make you do stuff that I wouldn't be willing to do myself. So I run to Home Depot, even though it's not a great use of my time. I'll go pick shit up for them because it's going to cost them time and money to not to have to go run and do something. Yeah. So just yeah, it's great.
I appreciate that.
Caleb, couple questions for you. Apologize if you answered this in the beginning. I had something going on when you first started talking, but you mentioned you're working about 5 hours on the business right now. What do you think it took you to stand this up?
Like how much time it took me to stand it up?
Yeah, what went into standing this up?
Yeah, so
Um,
yeah, really early on I kind of just struggled with like getting the wheel turning on like really just the beginning was kind of hard. And it just like snowballed from there. But beginning just building out website, getting the Google set up, um, and then just getting those first couple customers, you don't have any like product or anything to prove.
yeah,
So when I started doing like the texting to real estate agents and investors, and I would hit them with a pitch like, "Hey, my name's Caleb. I just graduated from Drexel, which is like the local college. Like, eager to please. I'd love to go and provide any of your clients free estimates." And it was never their client that wanted the estimate; it was always themselves. And that was like a great opportunity just to get low cost leads and just get the name out. And those real estate agents have given me a lot because it's a lot of referrals back too. Um, so really in the beginning, it was just like getting those foundational things set up, systems for the leads, and um, for me to understand tree work a little bit. Although you don't need to fully understand, but you definitely need to understand like what your products are, I'd say. If this is in a different home service business. And in the beginning, I just got really close with one crew. And I would just go out with them like every day, and like even if it wasn't a job of mine, I'd still go out there with them and like I'd just go door knock for them and like bring them more work. And I was just it was just constant like, how can I bring you more work, more work, more work? And they loved it. Still have a really great relationship with those guys today, and they do a lot of work for me. So that's kind of what it looked like in the beginning.
yeah. Then second question, have you considered any type of to make sure that these guys aren't going around it, any type of agreement, like a
Yeah.
non-compete per property or something like that?
Yeah, we have like a subcontractor agreement, which also covers like some of the insurance stuff. Because I have to have like COIs and stuff with my name on theirs, and there's a whole thing like that. But yeah, we do have agreements for that sort of thing. But I don't know if you caught it in the beginning, but I still do tests. Like I'll take my buddy's phone, like I'll shoot them text messages to make sure they're not going around me.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and just monitoring their close rates. Each crew, I can see like what they're closing at for the month, and it's pretty obvious if something's going wrong. But again, like I've never had anything go wrong, so
got it.
yeah,
Okay, cool.
sure it will
Thanks.
happen.
Hey, let me add one more thing too, man. I don't know why I didn't mention this before, but because your crews like that is your client in a way, those guys are your clients. And just to add to like how to continue building the relationships with those guys, like family's important to everybody, but especially somebody who came here from another country. Family is extremely important to that community. And so like if I'm around them, how's your wife doing? How are your kids doing? Like you're knowing their names, man. I can't tell you how far that goes with those guys. Like I go to their birthday parties, I do stuff like that because that's the currency that they're most interested in is helping and supporting their family. When you show interest in stuff like that, um, man, their whole life, it just like they just light up. So just another comment that like family is extremely important part of that community in general. So same with us, but like showing an interest there, just it just goes so far.
Yeah, that's huge. I appreciate that. That's definitely one that I was not really doing. So I'm gonna be more cognizant of that. So the other component of this is like, and Paul's touched on this, but there is the opportunity to exit stuff like this. I think I was the last slide on the other one. But the third mistake was like not really building with the end in mind. So if I could go back, I probably would have liked to have just gone around and got a better idea of like what are other tree companies or what are buyers of this sort of thing looking for in a business. Um, and I wish I did that. So I'm playing catch up a little bit in that regard, but I've had other tree companies start reaching out that they're interested in buying us out because like they see we're taking like market share on organic. Um, and yeah, that's one thing I just kind of wish I did better is like going in with the end in mind. So if there's anyone that like wants to get into that, that's just a huge piece of advice. Um, so really like next steps for me is really kind of keeping operations going and figuring out like, do we go deeper? Do we go wider? Like deeper could look like just adding on like more ancillary services that serve the clients we already have, or like wider is just like doing the same thing we've been doing, just in like more of a service area. So not totally sure what the best route to go is. There's trade-offs of everything. I'm kind of more focused, I think, on just doing better at what we're already doing right now and like driving the systems a little bit better. And then as everyone probably knows, like, if you can increase revenue more, and get like higher quality revenue, your exit multiples will go up. So like more like recurring work. That's also
Exactly what I was about to say is, what I know about, what I've learned about the service-based kind of model is, yeah, it's that like recurring revenue. Like how, you go do a tree, but you build someone's kitchen or you cut down a tree for somebody and it's like, you're done. It becomes about how do you create consistency. Yeah. So I think you're thinking about it the right way. It's certainly how I'm thinking about it. How do you sell them other services that could become more recurring, even if it's a small amount of your revenue? Buyers want to see stuff like that.
Yeah. And even just to keep them top of mind. And something I've seen with trees is there's a lot of guys that'll do spraying like for pest control, or I've seen companies that go around like for like the higher clientele that don't want to rake leaves, like they'll spray stuff on the leaves to biodegrade them and they go back into the soil and it's like good for the trees and stuff like that. But that stuff doesn't make them a ton of money. But then like when someone needs a tree removed, who are they going to call? They're going to call the person that's there like every couple months working on their house that has that other side to it. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity. I think. I mean, there's opportunity everywhere. So it's just a matter of like deciding which way to steer it and going after it. But yeah, I think I have one more slide. So yeah, just to recap, like you don't need like some crazy idea or like something super different. You could build, just a boring business of leverage. There's all kinds of leverage out there. Anyone here could definitely build something similar. Any final questions?
You want to come to Denver?
Start cutting trees in Denver.
There's already plenty of people on here that want to do tree in Denver now. Tree
Yeah.
services in Denver. So
Yeah. So you got Steve down in the Springs, you got Ryan and Kyle here in Denver, So great work, man. I think you got something here. You got the wheels turning of the folks in this group, I can see. So really well done. And I think just a testament to how you're taking these. It's the frameworks that are driving these kind of strategies, right? And the decisions that you're making. So well done.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it a ton. I mean, it's what I've learned in here. I'm so glad I joined this when I was like, whatever, 23,
yeah.
2.5 years ago, because it's driven the way I do business. And yeah, like you said, it's apparent in the way this is structured.
Yeah, a couple of thoughts. Really appreciate this, Caleb. It's turning a lot of wheels here, as Paul mentioned. Number one, it's a business that doesn't require like a license. So like, some of these really high margin businesses like construction, like Paul's got going on, or HVAC, or all those require licenses. So that's kind of a higher entry level than say tree trimming, right? You do have to get the insurance and all that kind of stuff. And the outcome, you said binary, so it's like, hey, you did a pretty good job with the tree, or you cut down the tree, as opposed to this is really similar to some painting businesses where there's a sales and marketing guy that goes in, he puts in his quantities, he says, okay, this is a $3,000 job, so I'll bid 6,000 and I'll take my markup. But going into a lady's house and painting it, there's a lot more things that have to happen right for her to be happy about that. So I think there's a lot of good context with respect to, being less picky outcomes.
For
So there's a couple of things that make, something like a tree service business work really nicely. And also, I was going to say, people don't believe a 5.0 star. I read somewhere that's like between 4.7 and 4.8 is the best number you can have. So it's okay to have some 1 stars.
Appreciate making me feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen very similar models that I have in roofing. A lot of
Mhm.
roofing companies are structured the same way of the subcontractors. So
Yeah. Roofers, though, have to have a license, I think, right? Or, well,
it's all
maybe
like
not.
state by state.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, you just need like a general contractor's license. Like anyone can
Mhm.
get that with insurance. Like New Jersey, I know you actually need like a tree license. So it's all
Mm,
state by state.
got it. Oh, I was going to ask too, do you have which company that you recommend for website
Yeah, they're called
SEO
Striker
work?
Digital.
Sorry.
It's called Striker Digital.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, I could send a link to them in the chat. They're great. Really like high quality backlinks, and they do great work building out websites too. They're just anything Google, like, they're all over it.
Have you looked into direct mail? Would that pay out for this type of growth?
Doing my first, I just sent out mailers last week. Postcards.
All right.
Yeah.
Love
Okay.
it.
See
What's
how
your
that-
what's your end goal, Caleb? Like, where are you taking this, and what's your timeline? And do you have that? Do you have that mapped out? I'm just curious.
Yeah, like I said, that was one of the mistakes. Um, it's tough. Um, I honestly need to get better. I mean, I'm young. I think I'm doing too many things right now. With this, uh, it's tough. I'm still really trying to figure out how exactly I want to move. I'm happy with where it's at now, and I'm happy to like make it get better. Just like improve on what we're doing, but it's kind of tough to say like what exactly I want it to look like. But that is something I need to figure out, and it's like kind of driving me crazy.
Like, I would imagine, like, if you're going to sell out at a whatever, let's call it like a 5x multiple or something like that. And you tell me if I'm wrong here, but I would imagine you'd want to have like W-2 employees, trucks, equipment. Like, you'd want to like have that operation if you're going to sell out at a high multiple. And maybe I'm wrong on that. I'm just, what are your thoughts
No,
there?
you're absolutely right, and that's why I said I wish from the start I had gone into more stuff like that. From what I found, like talking to like huge tree businesses, really what they're looking for when they buy something is more like a culture in the employees. Um, that's like one of the biggest things I look for, and obviously that's not really there with this. Um, so it's something to be aware of. But another thing that I love about this is like and there's a lot of ifs in business, but if I find the right person that I would want to work with, maybe someone who's like worked for a company for a while, and I'm like, hey, like, do you want to start your own thing? And I have something that already has tons of leads and a history, and I think this is something you could potentially try to convert to a more traditional business, but to get the ground running and like basically no startup cost, it's been great.
Have you
Cool.
given some thought to like how do I say this? Like a bolt-on business or like an affiliate, like partnership relationship with other companies, for example. I'm just thinking about the business that we're in, flipping houses. And buying a house that I don't do a tremendous amount of tree removal. I do on some of my projects, but I'm wondering if there's like um, you mentioned realtor relationships, for example. Obviously, the organic stuff, the SEO, that's clearly working. But I'm wondering if there's like a symbiotic relationship with another company that you can bolt this service on to them. Have you given thought to something like that?
I haven't, it's like crossed my mind, but I haven't taken a ton of action on like going and reaching out to people. But there definitely is like stuff like with the spraying, if I could find the right partner on that. Um, for sure, it's a great way to be thinking about it.
I was gonna add, I actually when I was flat broke, I started a similar business running out of like a Volvo station wagon. This was like back when I was in the military. But seemed like what always went hand in hand, what goes hand in hand around here also, but like landscaping, those businesses seem to always be intertwined around here. So landscaping supply businesses and landscape design and install businesses. I think landscape install, design and install businesses, those in the past, I mean, they were pretty lucrative. People pay a lot of money for like a hole with a rubber liner in it, a pump, and it's crazy what some of that stuff we go for. But those always seem to work really well together. We looked at buying a tree company a couple years ago, and since they ended up not selling it, and they have since gone that route as well. So it just seems like a natural flow for some of those guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, the one crew that kind of taught me everything, he does that, and he's always like, Caleb, I want you to go do another one of these, but for pavers and retention walls. And yeah, definitely, it's a natural move.
Caleb, couple of thoughts. You were so going back to like kind of the repeat business, similar to like the companies Dan was just mentioning. I think of my brother who he does big landscape installations out in Montana, and he'll visit those jobs like after they're done, like every few months or a year or something like that. And he can like build in kind of maintenance on that landscaping. So maybe, but he's not a tree company, he's a landscape installation company. So they'll either go rent a chainsaw or do whatever to, they gotta clean up trees or something like that. So those companies maybe you may be able to be a bolt on to them to keep work continuously coming in. But then I was also thinking, you mentioned you really, correct me if I'm wrong, but you really just have a VA helping with the admin stuff. And the reason I was asking what the time took to stand this up in combination with you not working that many hours on the business, you could stand something like this up for multiple people. Like I would probably hire you if it wasn't too intensive. Like it sounds like I would need to build relationships with local contractors and stuff. But if you could take the architecture of the business, stand that up for me, by training my VA or whatever to go through the CRM and all that kind of stuff, like that's something that I would pay a fee for to stand my business up. And then, obviously I got to run it, but I don't want to train a VA. I don't want to set up a GHL CRM and website and all that stuff. So if you have the expertise, you can, set that up for other people.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a very good point. Um, in terms of like getting her sped up, I mean, we've been working together for like 3 years. And she was like, I kind of like slowly transitioned her into doing it full time, so it wasn't like a huge like take on. And she's like an A player too, so I'm trying to think. It was slow. It was just like kind of slow, like, all right, you're gonna start to take calls. Like, how did that do? All right, we gotta listen to calls. Like, we should probably fix this. Um, yeah.
Yeah, it's multiple routes you could go with that. There's a franchise model that exists here. There's a, done for you service model. I could see a lot of directions you could go with it. But again, to your point, the refinement of the systems, I think you're thinking about it the right way to get better at the operations, because that's what a buyer, first of all, is going to pay for. Kyle's point that like, if it's just, a bunch of dudes that you hire to go out and do this stuff, like it's not as valuable as if you've got the assets internally that work directly for you. So that is a good direction to head. But yeah, man, like you got a lot of opportunity. And so the right way that Dr. Jeff would coach me on this is it's a soft offense, right? Like you can press on a few of these things. I don't think you're at risk of trying a few things over the next couple of years to get a sense for like, well, what would you rather have? Is the goal upside? Is the goal reliability? That would obviously change the things that you would do. But you got a lot of potential and a lot of opportunity, that's for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate it. No, that's huge advice right there. I feel like that's kind of like where I'm at. Like it's like just touching a couple things. Like I've talked to some arborists trying to see what it would look like. What's that? Yeah. So I've spoken to like arborists trying to see what it would look like, maybe to like kind of work closer with them and like start doing like more like overall landscape, like maintenance kind of thing. Like, let's come there, let's make like a 10-year plan for your property, like for your tree trimming, like every couple of years we'll do this and that. So yeah, there's a ton of different ways to go with it. I think that soft offense is definitely a great piece of advice.
Steve, you got anything?
Yeah, I was just thinking, I was like, in terms of like just kind of what oh shit, I already forgot his name. What was already said about just like putting this into different markets. Like, how easy would this be to like just pop up in Denver or Colorado Springs, and then you just put the time into creating that, or just like you said, like selling this product to somebody else. Because like, those who do teach, right? Or those who can't do teach, right? So if you could just teach people to do this, and then you wouldn't even have to worry about like the jobs or anything, and just sell the model to one person a month, for 10K. You don't even have to worry about it. You just gross 10K. It just that's kind of what I'm thinking about, anyways. It's just
Yeah, it's crossed my mind. I just I don't know. The
One
idea
step
of
at
like
a time.
having
One step at a time.
yeah, yeah, exactly, one step at a time. But there's trade-offs of everything. Immediately what goes to my mind of that is then I have like potentially tons of people that then like I'm the main guy where it's like something's going wrong. I want to ask you questions. Yeah.
Yes, that is absolutely a trade-off to consider. So
Yeah. Yeah.
anybody else got any comments? Mike, we haven't heard from you. You got anything you want to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of add my firsthand experience to kind of witnessing Caleb build this from the ground up. It truly was inspiring. Just watching him kind of like learn this strategy and immediately take action. There was like a week of like micro stepping, but I mean the speed that he built this business up, because it's just over a year old at this point. It was something truly special to watch, and very, very inspiring. So I don't think he's very humble, but he did a very good job with this business. And yeah, it's just amazing to witness. So it's my 2 cents.
Appreciate it, Mike.
Awesome. And I know you and Dave are back there, but I can't see you guys. You guys got anything you want to add?
Kind of the same, really inspiring to see how Caleb, you're able to build a business within a year and being so successful. So very eye-opening for me as well to learn about your business model. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
We're a big believer in low downside, businesses, and I just found that it has typically has tended towards service-based businesses. There's lots of ways to apply this, and so Caleb, I love that you took this and kind of played your own game and figured out how to apply it in your market. So well done. I know you'll be at the event sharing a little bit about this and talking a little bit about how you're doing it, and continue growing, man, and use us as resources. There's a lot of smart folks in the club that would probably also be interested in potentially partnering or working with you on something like this. So keep us top of mind, man. Great job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, everybody. Thanks for your time today. This is one of the more engaging presentations I've heard in a while. So well done. Thank you, everybody. You guys have a great weekend. Talk soon. Go Nuggets.
Thanks, guys.